Welcome back to the second hour of 8 Bits. djWHEAT, joined, of course, by JP. And as we fire through them now, we hit our fourth bit. Ouya, 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 Ouya. I've heard it pronounced 1,000 different ways, but man, questions in a box, JP, as I, over the past couple weeks, have heard so much about this. Now, I admittedly, this is not going to be a full informative segment because there is still so much that I do not know about this thing. But I've been watching a ton of videos on it. I've been trying to get as many. Yeah, because I'm curious about it, right? Like, then there's several reasons why I'm curious, JP. Like, it's supposed to release with you know, the Twitch app. You're supposed to be able to play some of those games that are like really awesome on the TV. It has a few exclusives, but you know, I've already got all these consoles, got my PC, got my iPad, got my iPhone, got more consoles coming out at the end of this year. Like, there's something that would have to like ultimately sell this box that made it more than just a mobile gaming device, if that makes sense. Right. Because for me, I'm not going to buy a piece of technology that duplicates something that something already does.
Yeah, that you already have, right?
So I mean, what do you know about Ouya so far?
I know that that the controller looks like a piece of shit from what I've seen. I've watched a couple videos about it, and I know that they also marketed, I think like the day or the week it came out, weren't they marketing like, you can play hacked ROMs on our device, like you can play the new Super Mario Brothers 2 or whatever on our device, and I thought that was a little weird. But to me, I just don't see why anyone should own that console. I mean, if you can even call it a console.
I think I can sell it, right? Yeah. Like I mean, so first off, you can make some modifications to it. So like to those that don't have a Boxy, that don't have an Apple TV, that don't have a smart TV.
Let's start here, Wheat. How much is it?
Good question. I think
is it 100?
Yeah, I think it's that. I think it is.
I don't even know if you can buy it. I just know it got
back.
Yeah,
100 with the console and the thing.
Okay, yes. All right. Continue on now. So,
what was I talking about? Oh yeah. So if you don't have a Boxy, you don't have an Apple TV, you want to be able to use like sort of a small device to interface with your television, to use a lot of the mobile apps that allow you to watch some of the streaming stuff, whether that be Netflix, Hulu, Twitch, YouTube, etc. This might actually be a really fantastic box, with the added bonus that if you wanted to play some games on it, you could. The thing is that I feel like the games was supposed to be a part of the sale, and I wouldn't sell it that way, JP. Based off of everything like I've seen on it, it's like ridiculously difficult to set up. It takes a long time just to get everything going. You know, like it takes an Apple TV about like 10 minutes to start up to set up start to finish. Like I was hearing guys who I believe they've got some technical know-how saying it takes us 90 minutes to set the console up to our liking. It takes another 20 minutes to try to sync the PS3 controller to it. And I was just like, instantly I'm like, this does not sound like a device that a lot of people are going to be excited about using. So it really is this machine that came out with a shitload of hype, but it is fizzled. It was like a firework, right? It's 4th of July. It's like the biggest fucking firework. And then it goes...
Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the hype with the machine the fact that it got like $8.5 million funded on Kickstarter over the course of like, I don't know, a month or so? And then everyone's like, guys, I remember like the hype was incredible. It was like, guys, this is the next big thing. It's a new console, blah, blah, blah. And then it just died.
I love what Ghost Channer says too. Because he might have summed it up in one sentence. Ghost Channer 2012 says, when it was announced as a semi-high-end mobile device, it was great, right? Like that made sense. When it was launched as a low mid-range mobile device, they fucked up. So I think that was one of the biggest problems, is that it didn't quite hit the expectations that people had hoped it did. But this is another thing too, like with so many people already like hooking PCs up to their television and having smart TVs and Apple TVs and iPads and all these other fucking ways to consume media, if it's not about the games, what the fuck does the box do?
I don't know. I mean, I have zero interest in this, in the Ouya or whatever the hell you call it. Like, I saw, like I said, I watched 2 or 3 videos. I will never have enough ADD to be able to buy one of these.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, it doesn't offer anything that I can't get anywhere else. Because I already have like a Boxy and all that. I have a PC in front of me, I guess, just to be blunt. But I don't know. I don't know I don't know who that box is for. I don't know who is like, you should buy an, or whatever the fucking name of it is. And I also don't know how they're going to market it to that person. Right?
Well, didn't they miss their chance though with all the hype and then?
Oh yeah, it's definitely, as far as I'm concerned, dead on arrival. Like, that thing's going to be sitting in stores next to the Xbox Ones and the PS4s, maybe, if they even keep it on the shelf. It's all those stores, all those retailers I just saw. But
you know, I guess I could see people who are like, I just want a Twitch box. I just want, you know, I don't have that shit, and I want the Flick, you know, the Flickster or the Netflix, blah blah blah.
Does it support Netflix?
I mean, it's got to, doesn't it? Doesn't it just?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. This is going to turn into 2 people talking about it, Ouya, and we're going to get all those haters for not knowing enough about the box. But
they don't even know if you can watch Netflix. Be like, oh, I'm sorry. Let me fucking inform the other 28 fucking thousand devices I have that play Netflix that they're better than this thing.
Netflix is not on it yet, apparently.
Okay, well, there you go. The 28,000 other fucking devices that I have, JP, are better than the Ouya. Why are we even talking about it anymore? I don't think
download Google Store devices or Google Store apps on it. So that means it will play Final Fantasy 3. All right, that's what that means, guys. But you could probably just play it illegally as well. So
nice.
I don't know. I was so skeptical when all that hype was going on a couple months back, and now I just kind of look at the box and I'm like, what is that? Like, why do you exist? Why was there $8.5 million used for this device?
And that was that.
Solves it.
I love my smart TV, man. I think a smart TV is great, man. So I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Time for the 5th bit, JP. I love this question. Every once in a while over there, I'm sure you guys are familiar with NeoGAF. Some great folks over there. Always have some really interesting threads. And a thread came up. What was your worst impulse buy? And I'm like, my God, do I love this? And JP, you started to give me an answer before the show started. I was like, what? You cray.
Well, I initially said the 3DS. Yeah. That's because I dropped about $400-500 on it in the span of 2 days. And I've played it for maybe 10 hours in 2 weeks.
So, so you do think... See, I thought you had put more time into it than that.
Well, let's see. 2 plane rides, each one was 3 hours long. You know, maybe I've put like 15, 20.
Okay. Because I was talking about how I always like to take my consoles or my peripherals and break down the amount of time I think I've spent playing them versus how much it cost me. And like by far, my iPhone and my iPad are like they're number 1 and 2. Like these things are like the amount of time to play per it's like 0.004 cents on
iPhone's best purchase ever. You know what? The most recent impulse buy that I regret was a Wii U. 100%.
Yeah, that's definitely a $300
the second most recent purchase was buying Zombie U for the Wii U. because I spent a total of 5 minutes in that game, and I have not gone back to it. I did beat the new Super Mario Brothers, so I at least have that. I at least have that 10 hours. And I played a lot of, I put like 40 hours into. Maybe I don't regret buying that because I put a lot of hours into Monster Hunter.
You did, but did that like make up for all of it? I don't know.
Well, I guess let's see what other games come out.
As far as impulse buys recently, they were individual titles. JP, Aliens, Colonial Marines.
Oh,
Holy
why
shit.
did you?
Why?
Why?
I mean, literally, I put 20 minutes in that game because I was like, well, fuck, man. I guess everyone was right. It actually sucks ass. Like, really fucking bad. That is lately. Like, I don't very often wish I could have my money back. I don't.
Yeah.
But I'm seriously like, fucking piece of shit. Like, I practically opened up my wallet and they just walked up to me, fucking pulled out a couple of 20s. Gave me the finger and walked away.
I'm like looking at my Steam purchase list and trying to see if there's anything. I guess big purchase is probably a Wii U, but I'm crossing my fingers that over time, we'll get some of those first party games to come out, and maybe it won't be like the Wii where I got one. I think it was the first holiday season that was on. I had that app to find where they are in the
Right.
town, and then you call the place, whatever. I was so excited, and I think it was just the novelty of having a Wii because everyone else was talking about it. I didn't play. I probably spent 15 hours on the Wii in its entire lifespan, and I had a ton of games for it.
I would say that my ultimate worst impulse buy, and people are going to just cry like fanboy, but when my 360 finally red ringed,
Yeah.
I was like, well, fuck. I'll buy an Elite with a fucking Connect, I'll have more space. I'll probably use it more. And what I didn't realize is that the red ring of death was probably a sign that was just like, hey, Wheat, it's all good, man. Just bury me. Just start buying everything for the PS3. It's all good. Like, really, what exclusives have you played since since the red ring of death? Like, why, And I bought it. Like, I mean, that fucking Connect has looked at me.
Oh, that's the worst.
For 2 years, and I almost want to unplug it just to show you how much fucking dust this stupid piece of shit peripheral has.
That $150 peripheral.
I mean, I could have bought a $99 fucking Xbox Slim, blah, blah. I didn't need all that extra shit. And I really do regret that.
How much has your kid used the Kinect? None?
No, none. We used it maybe at the very beginning, a little bit. And then we're just like, yeah, this is stupid. This is dumb. Our 360 gets the most play because of Skylanders. And it just so happened he got his Skylanders on 360. And that's how it is. But the awesome thing about Skylanders is I could actually just get a different portal and just all the shit works on PS3. So who gives a fuck?
All the little figurines or whatever.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like, I did play Dance Central, but then Dance Central, I was just like, I don't know, man. The Kinect just wasn't doing it for me. So that's really my biggest impulse buy, for sure.
Motion gaming's the future, Wheat.
Fuck. An alternate future.
Yeah.
That's why I still can't believe, JP, that it's coming with every Xbox. It's going to be great.
They got to get in those houses for it to be
Part 2. Part 2.
That's where Milo's just going to eventually... You're going to walk through the house in the middle of the night, and Milo's going to be on your TV just, looking inside your room and shit. You're going to be like, what?
What God's name?
What are you? But yeah, I think one of the Wii devices for me, worst impulse buy.
But I mean, other than that, I was trying to think of if there's any peripherals that were worst impulse buys.
I don't think I'm pretty happy with all my peripherals that I've purchased.
I mean, one time I bought a one-handed controller to play Final Fantasy VII with, thinking that's awesome. I could just grind and sit there and But then I just realized it was fucking dumb. It was a long time ago. I was poor, man. I was like,
Oh my god.
I thought I was gonna grind like a motherfucker. I used it for a while.
That's pretty funny.
I wonder
pretty...
if I could still find it. It was fucking hilarious. People would be like, you bought a one-handed controller for other things. It'd be like, this is for PlayStation 1 days.
Yeah, it doesn't
like,
it doesn't work on anything else but
Come
that
on.
PS1 port.
Let me see.
That giant
PlayStation
printed
1
driver
one-handed
port.
controller.
I didn't even know this existed.
Well, it was not anything fucking dumb looking like this. Jesus Christ, like a glove? Oh, that thing looks dumb as shit. Let's show this one. Oh, there it is. There it is. Nice. Nice.
You find it?
I did. I found a bunch of them. And I'll show you which ones it was not. Here's this first one-handed controller. Like, man, I don't even know about this shit. The ASCII grip. This is the one that I had.
The ASCII grip?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I have
There
seen
was
that.
no analog control. That was the big deal about it, right?
Yeah.
So you could totally play any RPG with it. The mini dance mat?
What?
That's just a fucking bad idea.
That's kind of weird. Wait, you know what I did see?
Whoa, look at this shit.
Oh my god.
I don't know what he did there, but...
What is the...
Oh my god.
Some of these are... It's getting weird.
ASCII grip V2, man. Holy shit.
Dude, you're going to buy that ASCII grip V2?
I'm not. Anyway.
Okay.
All right. We ready for
So,
next? What?
just real quick. When I was a young lad, I played DDR, right?
Uh-huh.
And I bought a metal dance pad for DDR, right? And now I was watching Man vs. Game, and there's a game coming out called Necro Dancer.
What?
And apparently...
Oh, is this where you...
It's a rogue-like game, but you move to the rhythm of the songs. And at PAX, they're going to have...
Crypt of the Necro Dancer?
Yep.
Oh,
they're going to have
shit,
DDR
son.
pads connected to the game to be able to play it. So I might have to have my parents ship my metal dance pad up here so I can play Crypt of the Necromancer on a DDR pad.
Oh my god.
The game looks great, by the way. Little promotion for that game.
Man, I used to, I would never buy the metal ones, JP.
Yeah.
So I would build my own fucking DDR pads.
Oh shit, you went that one step further.
I was pretty I mean, like everything from metal shit to I'll have to dig up my pictures for next week because I documented a few of them back in the day, but metal ones to one of my favorites was because the plastic pads, believe it or not, were not terrible. The problem is that there was typically no way for them to be stable, keep them in place, right? But the thing that I loved about the arcade and some of the metal pads is that they actually had indentations where the arrows were supposed to be, which is kind of like people be like, well, why does it fucking matter? I mean, when you play DDR at a higher level, it's sort of like Braille, right? Like you feel the edges, and that's sort of what guides your feet. So I created this one where I had a giant, a giant just piece of plywood, and then I created carpet squares that were like perfect for the height to like sort of make it seem like there's an indentation, and then we stretched the pads just enough so that it would actually go down and the sensor would be exactly where it would need to be. It was seriously like one of the fucking greatest pads I'd ever used. It was fucking amazing, JP.
Nice.
Anyway, I'm gonna find the pictures and show.
Nice.
It's incredible.
All right.
And you can see some lanky legs Wheat doing some DDR in his fucking living room.
We should actually we need to like fuck, I don't know how we could do that.
Do what?
Like have a DDR off or something. I mean you'd probably crush me these days.
Well, see, I didn't do perfect attack, JP. I was
You were the trick guy.
I was freestyler, yeah. So although we did some of our songs like 7, 8, 9 feet, like a lot of times we would do like 5, 6, 7 feet because then we could actually do tricks,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
So
I was always the 7, 8, 9 feet guy.
Okay. You're like hold on to the bar and just like
Dude, it was awesome. My brother worked at GameWorks back in the day, so I had an unlimited Infinity card.
Yes.
So I would just sit there and constantly swipe, and like Friday nights I get like these crowds built up and shit. They'd be like, who the fuck is that 6'4" motherfucker dancing over here?
Hey,
it was good, man. It was good.
When I tell my stories about winning the all the freestyle tournaments here in Nebraska,
Yeah.
My favorite moments is just like I made this fucking like 15-year-old Asian girl cry, and it felt so good, dude. Like, it's just like, yeah, that's right. I'm 23, and I just fucking stole all your tokens, kicked all y'all's ass. It was great.
In comparison, was his name Genova? Was that like was that the big DDR? Like the
That's one of the artists.
Nesty. No, God, what was the guy then? Who was like the #1 DDR, like trick DDR in the world? Wasn't his name like Jay or something?
Oh, I
thought it was like Genova Chin or something like that.
I don't know.
All right, we've gone off way.
We've gone way off, way off,
way off, way off.
Okay. All right, we're moving on to our next bit, and this is where if you are still playing Last of Us, if you don't want to hear about Last of Us, you better turn off now, or at least mute it until this overlay goes away. This is going to be a new sort of segment, I guess, called Spoiled, because we don't care fucking if you've played or not. We're going to talk as if you have and if you want to hear it played about. The game is The Last of Us. We've been respectful about making sure everyone would have a chance to play it, and now we get to finally talk about it. And JP, I would just lead off with, this game was fucking everything I hoped it'd be, man. Everything I'd hoped it'd be, from emotion to gameplay to the experience to the pacing to how long it was. Like, it was just perfect in every way, shape, and form. And what's made me more happy about this game is seeing how many people went out and bought PlayStation 3s just to play this game. Like, I think that fucking says a lot about a game that has that ability to create that much hype, live up to that hype, and then get people to go buy consoles, basically, pay for a $350 game.
Yeah, and there's been a lot. I know a lot of friends that have messaged me the same. Like, I just bought a PS3 solely for Last of Us. What else should I buy? And I'm glad that yesterday Sean Day 9 was doing it on his day off. I think he just got into winter yesterday.
Right.
So he's going to have one more day of playing it.
Yeah, he looks like he's really close because he was at one of the last Ellie standoffs.
Yeah, he's. I'm trying to think exactly where he's at, but I was on Skype with him playing, and I'm glad that I watched him play because I beat that game the day it came out, right?
Right.
Like I once at that game, and I'd honestly forgotten a lot of the things that I enjoyed about that game, just because I hadn't seen them. I hadn't seen them.
Do you think you consumed it too fast, JP?
We were talking about this a little bit in Anaheim. I think if you play that game in one sitting, you are a fool. For two reasons. One, you're going to come out of that and be really, 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 really depressed.
Right.
Your emotional state is going to be really, really terrible after doing so. And secondly, I think that there's so much like emotional weight to each chapter in that game that you really just have to not play the next chapter and just like let it sit on you what just happened. It seems such a foreign thing to say that too about a game, right? Like,
no, I don't think so at all. Because like I said, I would play at night. I would take like natural breaks in the game. There were only 2 exceptions where like I stopped at not a natural break. One of those was when you pull the power and you have to get to the key card, the part that you and I were talking about how we did that.
Yeah.
And that was just like I knew what was going to happen, and I was like, yo, man, I've got to wait till tomorrow because I just been through 2 hours of this shit and I can't handle it anymore.
It's exhausting for sure.
It is. So that part, and then I feel like it's a somewhat unnatural break when you start playing and take over as Ellie, not knowing the fate
Oh, that
of
was beautiful
Joel.
how they did
It
that.
was really, really great, man. And because I was convinced, I was like, "Fuck, man." For all I know, he's gone. Like I don't know. I didn't consume enough media to
And
see
Sean
him.
just got through that part yesterday, so I got to see that like on a fresh mind or a fresh face. Him just being like, "Oh my, is
What the
Joel
fuck?
actually dead?
Right,
What's happening here? Like
right.
what? Oh my God, this is Ellie, and I'm chasing a deer. Like what is really happening right now?" Is and then you're like, she's like, "I want some medicine."
Right,
You're
they
like,
tip you
"Oh
off.
God, oh God."
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But I mean, like that storytelling, that pacing, like being able to just sort of, it got me excited every day, JP. Right? I'd
Yeah,
like play off. I'm like, oh fuck, yes, tonight. Like a few more hours, the sun's almost down. I'm going in. Every single time, there wasn't a moment where I'm like, oh, I got to do this part. Oh, I got to do this. Oh, I got to go in. So the game drives you like that,
yeah.
big time. I'm glad I definitely played it the way I did.
And I totally forgot like some of those dialogues are just incredible. Like the
Yeah.
voice acting in that game is probably the best that I can remember. And a lot of this is going to sound like hyperbole that tends to happen with games like this, but I mean 100% it is the dialogue in that game blows anything that I can think of out of the water. The voiceovers are incredible. The
Yeah,
way
it's really
that
good.
the way that people are reacting in the actual scenes, it's like they're actual emotional scenes, right? Where you're wanting Joel to actually just be like, "No, Ellie, like you're my surrogate daughter, like I understand you, et
Right.
cetera, et cetera." And to go back to the very beginning because we kind of skipped over it. The intro to this game is the best intro to any game I have ever played. They must have gone over that 6 months constantly, just like hammering out everything. Because for that 30 minutes of opening up, kind of how the story starts, how Joel lost his daughter, how
Right.
all of that happened, like it just flawless. It played
Yeah.
so well.
I mean, now it is somewhat of a scripted experience. So, you
Oh
go
yeah,
through it once
yeah,
and then it's sort of like watching that movie for the first time. But
right,
how they did it, you're right. I mean, everything was done good. The pacing of it was totally amazing. How they sort of get you, they suck you into what's happening right away, but keep a lot of mystery behind it. It's like a fantastic introduction into what the fuck happened, what is this world coming to, and how brutal things are, even moments after,
right.
the chaos beginning. JP, I guess I'd like to kind of take the conversation a little bit like graphically, the game is amazing, and I don't think I have to speak anymore on the graphics other than like it's incredible from start to finish. The one thing about the graphics that just blow me away all the time is that I walk through these areas and I'm like, someone spent days, months, weeks, years putting all these together, and I'm like rummaging through it in like 2 seconds and just leaving. Like there were
Yeah.
so many times I had to actually stop and just appreciate what was built to make, to me just to walk 20 feet and continue the
Right.
story. Like, God,
I've done that a lot in
aspect was
watching
amazing.
streams.
Yeah.
Like yesterday when Sean was getting through, it's the part after you've given the medicine to Joel and you're walking through, or sorry, you've just escaped the town on horseback and you're in that first little area where you have to fight as Ellie. And to your left is like this giant lake with like this beautiful mountainscape and everything. And then as Sean's like stabbing people in the throat and shit as Ellie, I'm like looking off to the side and be like, man, this game's really pretty. Like,
Yeah, it is. It really
it's
is.
really gorgeous looking.
So,
Um,
I mean, as far as graphics are concerned, like, I'm not even going to comment. Like, for everything
yeah,
for facial,
it
it's
was
just
gorgeous.
amazing. I actually want to ask you a couple questions about, I did read some other people's opinions about the game because, of course, a game that's got that 10/10 masterpiece, it's going to get picked apart by people, right?
100%.
The one of the interesting ones I read was by the guy that created Amnesia.
So I started reading that, and
Yeah.
he did the thing where he's like, well, before we go into this, we have to go back to the beginning of video game culture. And I'm like, all right, I'm not going to read this shit.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to give you the TLDR of it
Perfect.
all because he does. He goes in and he talks about, one of the big points is he talks about the difference between like Uncharted in The Last of Us, where the violence in Last of Us is a necessity of survival, whereas like the violence in Uncharted is sort of to create this Indiana Jones style adventure. And so, you know, then he talks about how that's very similar to Spec Ops. And if you guys have played that, if you haven't,
I've played Spec Ops.
It's actually, it's totally worth it.
It's awesome.
You know, and I do like, I like that comparison because that does make a lot of sense. At the same time, like he does talk a little bit about how does that desensitize even the violence in the game? Because, I mean, note, like, how hard the characters were, right? Like, Ellie was like, you know, motherfucker, boom. She goes through that experience of, like, killing the first person. But, you know, anyway, so what did you think about the violence overall? And then the other thing, too, is that, you know, he kind of talks about how Last of Us actually just follows, like, all of the normal mechanics that we've been accustomed to in games up to now. And that it then uses the story to tell it. Now, where he says he feels like this is bad because we need games like The Last of Us to innovate, personally, I feel like the innovation is in the ability to tell an emotional story. Because how many times do you actually get emotionally bonded to characters?
Right.
In video games, it doesn't happen that often. And so, you know, my question to you is, how did you feel about that? Like, when you look at it, like, yes, The Last of Us does a lot of tricks that movies and other video games do, but do you feel like it has some obligation to innovate just because it was this amazing game that everyone is clamoring over, or do you think that its innovation was in the storytelling itself?
Yeah, I hate the word innovation. I hate that whole thing that's kind of... I don't think that The Last of Us did anything that any other game has not done already. I just think that they did it a billion times better than anyone else already has. The storytelling in that game, I'm trying to think if like they did anything new, and they really didn't. They just told a really well thought out story where other games are telling a really shitty story.
I think one thing they did that, I mean, I feel is that they did put you into control of other characters.
That's true. And they didn't shy away from it at all. That happened a lot. Right?
And
like
I mean, it happens in games, but sort of the way they did it to tell the story, that doesn't happen very often.
I felt like they put the story first in that game, 100%, and then the gameplay kind of came from that. To go back to your question about the violence and if I thought it was too much, is that what you were kind of getting at, or
not that it was too much, but more like, how do you feel that violence lent itself to the game overall, right? Everyone was super excited about how the violence was. And yeah, so anyway, what do you think?
Well, I just think that like the violence in that game, there wasn't a moment where I was stabbing someone in the neck and I was just like, "Oh, I'm really happy about this." Like every time something like that happened, I was really, really sad about it. Like,
right.
And this is part of like playing it for 17 hours straight. It's like, oh my God, he just stepped on that guy's head. Like I'm so sorry that I just did that to you. And maybe that's just me. I
made you gurgle. The death gurgle is.
Yeah, like there were a lot of scenes like that too. Like the where you fight. I forgot the cannibal, the leader of the cannibals in Winter,
right?
In the Winter chapter, like that fight scene with him was like really, really intense for me. I think like the sound design in that fight and how it actually ended, where Ellie's the one that's like killing him brutally, like that affected the shit out of me. And to be playing the game for, that's probably like 11 hours in, and still get that effect out of someone just like killing someone else, I think it says a lot for like how much you're actually attached to those characters, because like that was a brutal, brutal, brutal scene, and it was towards the end of the game. Typically in other games like that, when shit like that happens, you're like, oh well, they had to like step on his head or whatever. And now it's like, God, Ellie just had a terrible experience with that. And they go to when you go to Summer right afterwards, you can still see that she's affected by that, and I was still affected by that right after. So I'm glad they did that as well.
What else? I mean, what other aspects did you want to? Some of my, I guess I wanted to talk about my favorite, moments of the game. I do love the part where you are sort of struggling as Joel to like stay awake and you just got stabbed and you're trying
Dude,
to get
that was
out.
a beautiful part of the
Yeah,
game.
it was amazing.
The way that the camera shakes and everything in there was perfect.
Everything
so
about
well
was.
done.
And there's a part in the game where they get into a toy store, and there's like this whole dialogue about this robot doll, and you don't need that stuff. We don't need that. And Ellie like picks it up, and this to me is a testament to the amazing sort of way that this game gets you involved with characters and whatnot. Is that when this whole dialogue was going on, I was like, I bet you Ellie's going to pick that fucking thing up. Like, I was saying to myself, right, already. So that means that the story did a good job of making me feel like Ellie is the kind of person that is like thinking about, right? Like, right. Yes, you understood the character. Where the amazing part came in, JP, is that it's in the game that Ellie doesn't want anyone else to see her take the toy. Right? So she literally will just kind of putz around the toy, just kind of like making sure that you're not watching. And the moment that you stop watching her, she snags the toy. And then it comes in the store later. But yeah. I'm just like fucking A, man. There's some detail. To me, no one could care about. You could play through this game a million times and never give a fuck about it. But it's like when someone's like, how do we make these characters even more, something that people want to attach to? That's the kind of shit that you do. Like, I can't name another game that's had some hidden thing like that in it. That right. It's happening in front of you. It's not a scripted thing. I mean, it sort of is scripted, but it made me think more about the characters, her actions, my actions. I actually tried to like get into a position where I could like see her and then like move the camera around and she'd still be looking over her shoulder every once in a while. I'm like, you fucking clever girl. Yeah. The moment you like move and she can't see you, boom. I love that kind of shit.
I want to talk about the ending, and I just want to once again state, like, if you haven't played Last of Us, don't listen to this part. Wait till the lower third is changed at the bottom, because the ending is an ending. Like, don't have it spoiled for yourself if you plan on playing this game. So having said that, what did you think about the way it ended? I am so glad they didn't go the route of like every Hollywood movie where like Ellie was going to sacrifice herself. You're going to have kind of a tearful scene, and then that was going to be that.
So, like, at first, at the very first, JP, I was like, what the fuck?
At the ending? At the ending?
Yes.
Okay.
But then I'm like, okay, wait, settle down for a second. The credits are rolling. Just think about this for a little bit. Right? And so, like, as I'm thinking about it, I feel like it sets in a lot more. Because, I mean, the whole last little bit is a pretty sort of emotional ride, and then, like, the dialogue that accompanies it is, it's got a lot of weight to it. And so, what I take away from it, and this is something like, because I'm sure this probably affected me a little bit different than a few other folks, because I do also have a son, and I would do anything for this individual, my wife, whatever. And so I really think that the moral of the story is somewhat selfish, but also at the same time, like, it's about that loyalty and that love towards just a single individual, and how that can be more powerful than fucking saving the whole entire world. Like, the weight of that is pretty crazy. And I mean, it's just pretty crazy. And when you think about, like, the beginning of the game has a lot more weight after the ending, because Joel already fucking lost the world to him. Yeah. Not even once, but twice, because his wife and then his daughter, and then Ellie represents all of that. So, I think about it from that perspective, and I'm like, you know what? My kids on that table, fuck them all. Like, I make the same goddamn decision. That doctor goes down.
Yeah, when you were in that moment in the game, when you walked into the operating room,
I shot him in the leg, dude.
Did you just blow everyone up?
No, I sat there, and I was like, fuck.
Dude, I did this. I was just like,
I took out my pistol. I shot him in the leg. Apparently, he died from that. I gunned him down, but I was actually trying to be at least like, yeah.
I was just, I walked into the room and I was like, this is the end of the game. What happens if I don't shoot these guys? Like, is this where the ending splits? Is there multiple endings? And I sat there for a second. Everyone in the stream, I remember the stream chat was going crazy, and I was just like, I just was thinking back on the game.
Yeah.
And then I just pulled out my automatic rifle and just blew the guys' heads off. It just like killed all three of those people like brutally. Like I got my hand axe out and just like started chopping one of the nurses. I was just like, "Fuck you,
oh
man.
My god!
Don't fucking kill Ellie. Fuck you."
The other two I let live. I let live. I guess
brutally like
I had a little bit
took my
more mercy
machete
than
to
you did.
All of them, dude. I was just like, "You're not fucking killing Ellie after all this shit." And then I thought it was so awesome how they kind of flash forward and then tell what actually happened right after that.
Right.
Later on with the I forgot her name, the woman that you meet early on, the leader of the resistance or whatever. I thought that was well done. I thought that there was a pause where they're walking over the hill to go to your brother's town, the brother's settlement, and it's where Ellie's like, "Joel, can I ask you a question?"
Right.
And there's a subtle pause, and I'm just like, oh shit, this is about to get like real heavy.
Right.
And she asked Joel the question, and Joel kind of like, I felt like time froze almost for a second because it was so well delayed with his answer. And then they immediately went back to Ellie, and he just saw her face, and you could tell that she fucking didn't believe him for one second.
That's
She
also,
knew, yeah.
and she was willing to accept that. Like, you know what? You're lying, but
Yeah.
just tell me you're not lying, or just tell me, tell me you're not lying, and it'll be okay. And that also goes to show how much people want that comfort as well.
Right.
Especially in an environment like that.
I thought it was perfect. Highlight of the entire game for me, the number one thing that I enjoyed, and I actually quickly forget this, is when I believe it was the start of summer, if not a little bit early on in one of the other ones, but it's when you're walking around and you just see that giraffe, and you're just like, holy shit, that's a giraffe.
Yeah.
And Ellie's like, what is that thing? Like, is that going to eat us? And Joel's like, no, we're fine. Like, that moment was incredible to me. Like, totally taken away by that entire scene. Sat there and watched the giraffes walk the entire way off. It was such a moment of, like, tranquility and peacefulness in a game that was just full-on craziness.
JP just watched the whole Matrix trilogy, and I was telling JP my favorite part of the whole trilogy is when they like bust through the clouds in the third one, and you just see this like gorgeous, like we've been watching 3 hours or 4 hours of Matrix, and you've never seen anything like it. Then all of a sudden, it's just like, oh, all this shit still exists. Like that's the same sort of feeling that gave me, and that's awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
It was in that 17-hour playthrough. It was the only moment where I felt calm. I wasn't stressed. I was just like, "This is a great scene. Like, this is really awesome."
Yeah,
I'm glad to be playing this game. And then 10 seconds later, like, "Oh god, there's a clicker on this corner."
And you're all gonna die, right?
I'm so stressed.
So let me ask one other question to wrap this up. People have been talking about sequel. Right? And Naughty Dog has kind of said this wrapped up the story of Joel and Ellie.
Yeah.
Do you think you have a story to, what they said is that we might, as far as DLC is concerned, like you could see maybe other stories in the same world.
I don't
care?
think I want
Are
any
you
of that.
fine with it? Just like this is a standalone game. Go make some goddamn Uncharted and fucking leave this shit alone.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather they just start on whatever the next gen thing is going to be for them. Like, I don't want to go back to that world. I think that world and that game and those two characters, their story is done for me. Like, if there's DLC that's released, I probably won't play it.
DLC will not be them. It's already been said. Like, their story is done, and I hope they stick to it.
Yeah, because I don't want that story. I thought that it was perfect from start to finish, their story, and I don't want any extra. I want it to be done. That's all I want. And if they get anything and add on anything to that, I'll be really upset.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. At this point, Naughty Dog, it's time. Uncharted 4, PS4.
They don't even
blow us away.
Do a new IP. I mean, if you want to do like an Uncharted 4 because you know that story.
Shut your fucking mouth, JP.
You want Uncharted 4?
Yes, Uncharted is amazing, dude.
It's good. I have confession. I didn't beat Uncharted 3 all the way. I've played all the other ones though, but I got halfway through it, and I think it came out like holiday season or something, and I got lost, and I never went back to finish it. But maybe I'll go back and finish it this weekend. Maybe that's what I start playing again. But yeah, don't touch The Last of Us. I don't want to see a sequel. I don't want to see anything else in that world. Just go on to another IP, please. It's perfect. It's perfect. For me, it was perfect.
Uncharted 4 coming soon.
Uncharted 4 coming soon.
Let's do it. Okay, let's do our last little bits. We still got some time left.
Yep.
Let's, if I can find my mouse, there we go. All right, who needs buttons? So I talked a little bit about it. I'm going to really quickly, Magic 2014, this is like the big reason. And this actually is an iOS game, an Android game, but you can also get it on the PC too. So Magic 2014, right, they released Duel of the Planeswalkers 2013 last year. It was better than their frickin' Magic Online client. The graphics, like all the cards, so high res. It teaches you how to play the game really well. One thing it lacked, JP, which is one of the most popular ways that Magic is played, and that's through drafts and sealed deck play, right?
Sure.
So finally, Magic 2014 offers a new thing, which is you have your campaign just like normal. You're unlocking decks and cards just like you normally would. But now there's a sealed deck campaign, which kind of teaches you how to build a deck properly. And
really?
I think this is exactly what Magic is needed to get more people into like that next, step of Magic.
Yeah,
because a lot of
really
people
smart.
know how to play the game, but the concept of like sealed deck or draft play, it's like it's a little foreign to them. And it can be overwhelming because, you don't know what's good and what's not. The game does a great job of like telling you what you need to try for, what what kind of combinations you should be going for. The addition to the game, JP, is really, really,
how much
really
is it?
good.
Is it $10 to buy in?
Yes, it's
for that?
$10, and it's like, I don't know. I think
is that too much for you, or is it worth it? Like, is $10 worth what you get from the game?
Hell yeah, because everything can be unlocked. A lot of people see it and they're like, oh, well, wait a second. I see this on Steam. There's like $10 and then like booster pack, deck. Note that everything that you play in the game, you unlock. Right? So as you defeat the Planeswalkers, you unlock their decks. As you defeat any player with another deck, you unlock a special card. So as you're progressing, you're constantly making your deck stronger. If you want, I think you can buy the digital pack that's $20 and unlock a lot of this stuff right out. But I mean, like, that's half the fun, right?
That's half the fun, yeah. It's getting that stuff, yeah.
So they did a really, really great job with this game again, and I think it's totally badass.
Yeah. I played Magic 2013 and played like 4 or 5 games, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to play a trading card game right now.
No, not your thing.
And then maybe I'll revisit it because Scrolls did kind of turn me on to that, and then it turned me off pretty quickly because of how bad I got like card fucked on draws. So if that's as bad as it is in Magic, then I just won't go play it. It's just too frustrating for me.
All right. Yeah, I mean, Hex is another one I'm looking forward to.
I've heard a little bit about that.
Yeah. We're still a ways away from that. So there's only 2 other things that Who Needs But. So this is not out yet, but it is. The first trailers came out. So someone was like, "Yo, man, Smash Brothers is pretty cool. Can we make Smash Brothers on iOS?" Well, they're gonna try with a game called Fright Fight, not Fright Night, where you sort of play different characters like Death, the Grim Reaper, the Abominable Snowman, Bigfoot, a vampire, and a werewolf. And then it has, you could see from the stages, a very Smash Brothers-esque style of play. On iOS, a fighting game like this, JP, I could actually see that working.
Yeah, as long as they don't get too like intricate with
no, and it's not.
with the
And Smash isn't that. That's the beauty of it. It's like it has simplicity through sort of controls and directional. So that's I've got this one on my radar now. It's on my watch list.
Yeah, it might be pretty cool.
However, a fighting game to avoid on iOS is Samurai Showdown 2.
Oh, they re-released it or something?
Man, talk about an awesome port with good graphics that is totally fucked by controls.
Do they have like the little thumb pads or whatever on the screen itself? Is that how it works?
Yes, and it's just shit,
Oh man.
It's like all these games could be better if they had some sort of extra joypad support. As you can see, they've got some filter on right here, which is pretty common.
It's $9? Is it really that much?
Yes, and it blows.
That's kind of pricey.
It fucking blows, man. It just sucks. God
Some of those
damn
games,
it.
I don't know if I can see myself paying like $9 for a mobile game like this.
It done gone fucked up, man. No, man, it's got to be like $9. I'll pay for like Final Fantasy Tactics. I think I bought for $9.
That's still too much for me.
No.
I won't even fucking buy Chrono Cross on the PSN for $10.
You're being a bitch.
And I think I'm being a bitch about it, but it's like game's been out since like '98. Like fucking sell it to me for like $2, man. Christ.
I do think some of the PSN games should be like quarters, just like you said. There's a few I would go back and definitely play if I could. That's it for Who Needs Buttons. Mobile, actually, there's no new mobile games, so this was all kind of residual from last week. Like, I don't know. I was kind of pissed off. No mobile games on the 4th. They had a few sales, but nothing too major.
It's a shame.
It is a shame. So we probably have, based off of our time, we probably have about 15 minutes. Do we want to open up the phone lines? Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
I'm trying to think. I think we can. Let's just do phone lines. The only concern I have is that right as of recording, there are some issues with Twitch. So some people are saying they're not able to load the page, etc. So I guess let's open them up and see if you actually get any calls.
If someone actually calls in, then we'll know that it's working. But it's very possible that someone. So if you could still hear the telephone number 909-581-8519. Do you have an Ouya? I want to hear from you. Maybe Last of Us. Any comments on that?
Let's go back to Ni no Kuni while we wait. You need to fucking beat Ni no Kuni.
Dude, I know.
The game was so good.
I know.
I streamed that entire session, and like the funny thing too is that you eventually get pets or whatever they call them, monsters or whatever they call them in that game, that are just like so broken, just like incredibly broken, and they're so awesome. You get a dinosaur who's on this. He's in the desert world. You have to go to the special place to be able to find him. It's like up on the mountains. You'll see it when you get there. Anyways, I got him and I named him. It's cool that you can name all your pets in that game, by the way. So I named him Tasteless, and he just destroyed everyone. He's so broken. He'll just go up to a random mob, no matter boss mob or whatever, and just hit for like 250 or 150 just right off the bat. Just incredibly broken, like huge amount of strength on that guy. And like Ni no Kuni is an awesome game. If you haven't played that yet, I think it's on sale or has been on sale for like $15. Straight from Namco published that game, I think. I forgot who published it. Yeah.
I mean, I can't wait to really get back into it. And I think that was also part of my problem, JP, is that I started at a really bad time for me because like a lot of travel. Yeah. And it was a mistake. I was also kind of is Mini Wheat going to be interested in this? Because that was one of the reasons like I want to kind of get him into, into that style of game a little bit, and we're going to see. So
I will say that the last 10 minutes of that game are just terrible.
What do you mean?
They're just terrible. No. It's just the story is just dog shit. It's just like the worst. Yeah. It was just bad.
Well, that doesn't really help.
But everything else is just awesome about that game. But the last 10 minutes just terrible. and maybe you'll have for me, it was just like, no, I don't. This is just dumb. This is just dumb.
All right, we got it. We got a call.
Nice.
You ready? We're gonna take a call. All right. Someone is still watching the stream despite some of the issues. We got area code 818. Hello. Welcome to 8-Bits. What's up?
Hey, I want to know what you guys think about The Last of Us multiplayer. Have you guys done any of that?
Yeah, so I played about maybe 30, 40 minutes of it. It's very unique, I think, is the first thing I'll say about it. And it's also very slow. Like it's not like a run and gun style of FPS.
Right.
What do you think about it, Caller? Have you played it at all?
Yeah, I've actually played a lot of it. I haven't played it much recently, but I really like the survivor mode when you only have one life, and it kind of brings that aspect of like you really need to survive with your group to the game from the single player towards multiplayer, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Is that pretty much? I mean, because I know you have like the normal MP multiplayer modes, but would you say that survival is kind of like the cream of the crop when it comes to The Last of Us multiplayer?
I think that, yeah, out of the two modes, I think that's the mode you should be playing. Personally, it's really fun as a group. Yeah.
How active is that online community? Are there still a lot of people playing it, like in the past week or whenever you last played?
I'm not sure. I haven't played for about 2 weeks. I let my friend borrow the game because he has to experience that. But I wouldn't know. Also, I have one other question. What do you? There's DLC planned for this game. I'm interested to know what you guys think. What they're going to do with that?
They could do prequel type stuff where maybe they have Joel's brother, like they bring him into it. You might do something with the Fireflies where you like play another aspect of the Fireflies. Like I do think they made it seem like some of the content would overlap and that, would maybe answer some questions. I think they talked about there were maybe some environments that you'd find out how the environment even got that way based off of something that happened in the DLC. So it was my understanding that you're going to find out a lot of stuff around the world. I got to say, if the DLC is as long as any of the seasons, I think I will be happy with the DLC.
Oh, yeah. Especially if it's like some Walking Dead type episodes. You continue on the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of answered that. I won't play any of that. I don't want to go back to that world. that world in that game for me is done, regardless of how good the DLC is. I say that now, but I'll probably play the DLC. Like, the game is just too good for me. I don't want anything tarnished. I don't want DLC to come out and it be bad.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, caller, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day. Peace.
Thanks, caller.
Yeah, the multiplayer it's people are ranting and raving about it like, oh, you're talking about single player multiplayer is great, but I feel like even when I heard those statements, JP, that it was still something that was probably going to be played for a while and then it will probably retain.
It's just like the Uncharted multiplayer. Like it was fun.
Yeah.
And then the next game came out, right? Like it's not something you're going to go back to.
You aren't. I don't think so. All right, let's maybe do one more, two more. Let's do it. We've got area code 905. Hello, welcome to 8-Bits. What's up?
Hi, this is WD40. I watch JP stream live.
Hey, what's going on, man?
What's up, man?
Hey, so my question for you guys is, first of all, there was this whole thing with massive multiplayer. That was a big thing for the longest time. But now they're scaling it back to like, how like I think it was Destiny they have and Demon's Soul where they have this kind of asynchronous kind of multiplayer. Do you think that would be something you want to see more of, or is like just a fad kind of thing that's coming and going?
See more of like what I guess I don't quite understand like what aspect of
like it's not quite MMO multiplayer, but it's somewhere between like a Call of Duty kind of server base and a large.
What would be an example? Like what would be?
Well, I think the way Destiny was.
Okay, like the Division kind of. I mean, it's still unclear though how big those worlds
we don't
would
know
actually
the scale
be.
of that world. Yeah.
I mean, to me, like like this gives me a great opportunity to bring up my favorite game of all time, Ultima Online, right? Because what was great about that, being in a giant world and then having self-contained worlds within those worlds, in my opinion, is one of the best way to play these games. I think that if you took any aspect of this large world and you condensed it into just like maybe 20, 30 people instead of like thousands of people, what you do is you effectively, I feel like you almost neuter the game, right? Like you can effectively neuter how much fun a game can be based off of more players getting involved. Right. So there is like a very healthy balance that I think game developers and fans have to find. You take a game like DayZ, that's fun when there's a few hundred people on the island. Would that be as fun if there is 10,000 people in this small amount of space? It would probably be too much. So I'm a fan of it if the game makes sense to have that many people. Otherwise, in most cases, the more people you have, generally, the more fun something is going to be. It's not always the case, but... Yeah.
I think my take on that is... I want a multiplayer game, or sorry, I want an experience like that to happen, similar to what I had in Journey, where this other person who I don't really know just kind of like comes into my game, and I can interact with them, I can have an experience with them, but I don't have to talk to them, I don't have to like deal with them. I just want that to happen like naturally, like. It's one thing for me to like sit down and play an MMO, right? But for these other, I guess mainstream, maybe that's not the right term for it, but for other games that just have like multiplayer aspects in them that don't really affect the main draw of the game, I think that's really cool. And I think that Journey's probably, as far as I can remember, it's one of the only games where the multiplayer experience has like been a really almost emotional, because like if you've played Journey before, when one of those characters leaves you after like 30 minutes, it's actually really sad because that person's gone, and the fact that you don't have any type of way to communicate with them other than just like your pings, and you're able to like have that connection with that person is fucking awesome. And I want to see more developers do stuff like that.
So it's something like an incidental kind of multiplayer versus just kind of as many people in.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll always play the MMOs or the competitive FPSs, etc., and know what I'm going to get from those multiplayers. But I think the next gen is I'm hoping that next gen plays with that element of multiplayer more, because all these consoles are always going to be online. Like that's just how they're going to be, right? And so I want to see more game developers do that. Kind of what Journey did. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, thanks, guys.
Hey, thank you for your call, man. Take care.
Thanks, man. Thanks for all the support, by the way. WD-40 is a good guy.
You want to do one more?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Let's just do one more. We got one other person that was able to call it. All right, we got area code 619. Hello. Welcome to 8-Bits. What's up?
Hey, what's up? Long-time fan of the show. I'm just going to, and of you, djWHEAT and JP, I'm just going to ask my question real quick and then sign off so let you guys answer.
Perfect.
So in terms of replayability, these games coming out are like really amazing, but it makes me not want to replay them. BioShock Infinite, Last of Us, they're so amazing that for me it's kind of hard to go back into the world because they were so immersive, and it just takes me a while just to disconnect from it. So I think like in a couple months I will return to it. But what do you guys think of the kind of art medium, and do you guys have plans to replay the games anytime soon? My question.
Thank you very much, dude. And we'll answer it off the air. Yeah, so great question, by the way. So, I mean, JP, I find this really interesting because, I'd almost apply this to movies, television shows, and comics as well, right? Like, there's all this medium that you experience, and it's like Battlestar Galactica. Like, oh my God, I fucking loved it, Like, I didn't love it so much that I'm sitting down and watching it every chance I get. But you know what? I know that in like 10 years, I'm going to be like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm watching Battlestar Galactica because I know how awesome it is. But 10 years goes by. I'm an old man. I've forgotten quite a bit. It's kind of like experiencing it all over again, remembering little stuff here and there, catching what you didn't catch the first time. I do feel a lot of times this feeling about video games. Very rarely do I go back and replay anything.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, replay anything at all. But there are a few titles that, like, I'll be willing to go back and play. I think one most recently is Final Fantasy VII. I could see myself playing through this again. You know, a lot of reasons aren't necessarily just because of the game itself, because it's new graphics and whatnot. But, you know, The Last of Us, I'll play the DLC. When will I play that game again? Maybe never. Maybe never. I don't know. But I don't normally see these games and go, fuck. Can't wait to play it again. Can't wait. It's a different type of game that gives me that feeling. It's the League of Legends, a StarCraft, a Quake 3. It's something where I'm playing a multiplayer game, and that's not the end of it. What are your thoughts?
I'm trying to think back of all the games that I've gone back and played through. Recently, I will probably never touch Last of Us again. I want that to be the experience that I kind of always is in my mind. Same with BioShock Infinite. Same with Ni no Kuni. Same with any game that I've played really of this gen. The only game that I have actually sat down and replayed, there's two of them, and it's Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger. And those are two games from my childhood that, like, I will probably every year, 2 or 3 years, I will sit down and play those games from start to finish. I know every single thing about those games, so much so that I might be able to even speed run them in some sense. But it's like, I can't see myself sitting down and like playing a 20 or a 15 or even a 10-hour long game that aren't those two games. But I'm a guy that'll go and watch a movie. Like, I've seen Lost in Translation probably 15 times by now. Just because I love watching those types, or just love watching movies over and over and like trying to pick apart all the different things that whatever the director's trying to get across, et cetera, et cetera. Or if it's just a good action flick, I'll watch that multiple times. But for video games, like, I just don't get that from them. And maybe that's because the experience is so... It's only going to be there the first time because you're the one that's actually kind of like leading that experience. With a movie, you can just pop it in, and it's going to happen regardless of if you want it to or not, right? With a video game, like, you're the one that actually has to do the work, if that makes sense. So that's why I probably won't ever go back and play those games again.
And you know, like, you got to remember, video games are still young in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Right? Like, people watch movies from the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. It's like you put a little bit more time between now and all the gamers that are growing up, and how much will that change? You know, how much will retro gaming change? Right now, we love to play our little 8-bit retro games and whatnot, and, you know, stuff from the Super Nintendo and all these legacy games. Like, will that happen when we're on, you know, whatever, the Playbox 8 and... You know, I don't know. That's kind of an intriguing thought to me. But what I will do is that I will probably continue to recommend that game. You know, like, oh, you've never played that, you never played that. That's true. Kind of how my extension of it is. I feel like, but yeah, it's really hard, especially with so much stuff coming out. JP.
That's the other thing too. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of there with movies as well, but
yeah.
And maybe this is just kind of like in our industry type deal, or in our respective field of jobs. Like, it's always on to the next one. You're always like, what's coming out next week? What can I dive into that'll keep my interest for this week? That's how I am, at least as a gamer. And sadly, I go on these really bad ADD fits where I just like, God, this game. Let's just
play 2 hours of it.
Let's just go on the next one, man.
Yeah.
And I spend like a couple $100 on that. It's really bad. It's a terrible cycle. I have to stop doing that shit.
So terrible.
Eventually, what I found is the way to kick myself out of the suite is I sit down and force myself to beat a game. And when I beat the game, it's like this stress This release.
You're gonna do it, JP. Gonna do it.
Yeah, this release is just like,
You're gonna do it.
then I'm good. And then I'm like, all right, I can finally enjoy video games again because I'm not going to be like 30 minutes of this shit game. Oh, God, that was so bad. That was so bad. So I just got to find that one game, Wheat. I got to find that one game.
I feel you, man. Wild Star. We're going to play some Wild Star, man.
We're going to play some Wild Star. Let's do it.
I think that game will be...
That's an MMO, though, so I can't actually beat that game, you asshole.
Well, we're going to be the first ones to beat it, dude.
Okay.
The first ones to beat it.
Sounds good.
So next week, because people are already asking, I assume we're going to be out at normal time Friday. Yes.
Yeah, I'm good to go. I don't foresee anything.
Great.
Correct.
Neither do I. Neither do I.
I will say one thing that I do want to do between now and then, and I don't know what day it's going to be just yet, but you asked me earlier prior to the show if I've still been playing Final Fantasy 14, and
Right.
The weekend that Brad was on, I actually played, in the course of 48 hours, I probably played about 30 hours worth. So I played a lot. Like, I just sat there and, like, poop socked it and fucking just played a constant.
Poop socked.
Poop socked. Constant amount of Final Fantasy. So I know a pretty good amount of stuff about that game and all the systems and stuff. So I think I'm going to sit down on my channel and just do, like, 45 minutes to an hour of Ask Me Anything from the chat. You can ask me anything about the game. I will try to answer every single question as best as I can. I'll probably I frapsed pretty much my entire experience with the game.
That's awesome.
So I will be able to take screenshots, but I can't show you actual footage, but I can show you screenshots. So we can go through like Mom and Pa's vacation picture segment, Final Fantasy 14.
This is where we hit the truck stop and all the
it'll be
kids
good.
had to go to the bathroom.
So I'll announce that officially on itme Weekly on Monday, but unofficially on Twitter whenever I get around to doing that. So
I look forward to that. Since you talked it up quite a bit.
I'm excited. I still feel the same way about the game. I'll just say that.
Good. That's good to know. Because if it's just been like, nah, I'm done with it already, then it says a lot about the game.
Yeah.
A lot of crap. Sounds like that's not the case. Rest of the week for me, I'm going to try to get 400 days in. My kid's been like...
It's only an hour, 20 minutes. You can sit down and do it today.
I yelled at my kid about that, dude. I actually, like
yelled at him about what?
Mini Wheat and I exchanged words. So he was bothering me to play 400 days, right? Which is fine. Like, that's cool. I'm like, yeah, my kid's bothering me to play 400 days. That's awesome. So... what's not awesome, JP, is that then I like come up and I see him watching YouTube videos of it, and I'm like, bro.
He spoiled himself?
I'm like, bro, what the fuck, yo? I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why are you watching YouTube videos if we're gonna play it? He's just like looking at me like, what do you? I'm like, don't you want to experience it with me? Like, I don't want you sitting next to me like, you know, dropping spoilers on me and shit. And so he like closes it and put it all away. But man, yeah. We had some words.
Oh, man.
We had some words.
Definitely play through that. Maybe we can talk about that next week.
Yes, I will definitely have played it through there. Final Fantasy 7, I'm probably going to keep playing
Jesus.
a little bit. Maybe I can get in that Epic Loot game.
Epic Loot game? Oh, yeah, Mighty Quest for Epic Loot.
Yeah.
It's good, man.
Might
It's
check that out.
in terms of addictiveness, when I played it on the 4th, I started at 6 o'clock. First time I checked the time was at 3 a.m. Didn't even feel like time had passed, man. And I didn't eat dinner, so I had distractions both physically and mentally, and it just whizzed right by. So that's how addicting that game can be.
Awesome.
So be careful.
Be careful. All right. And then tomorrow, I got some MLG gear to give away to all the subs. So
Aren't you doing is the Star Strikers tournament tomorrow?
No, that's next week.
That's next weekend.
Yeah. Next week, I'll be fucking kicking all these pros' asses again. Can't
Okay.
wait. Oh, are you playing? Sorry, Jimmy.
No, I'm not.
You're not? You're
No,
done?
I'm taking this next one off.
Okay.
Yeah, we got role play coming back tomorrow, so I'm
Okay,
trying.
good.
I thought it was this weekend, so I was dedicating all the time to role play. But
Word.
we're finally back on air. Finally role playing again after 3 weeks.
Welcome back, JP.
Yeah.
Of course.
By the way,
Yes.
I'm just going to ask you this on air. I think I'm going to DM a campaign.
Yeah.
you want to be part of this campaign?
Wait, so is this like a different show?
This
or?
is a different, brand new, yeah, just completely different. And I have no idea what I'm doing as a DM. And maybe we just do like a one-off episode so we try it out.
Yeah, I'm in. I mean, I got one question for you. Is Dungeons and Dragons always going to be it?
No, so this is what I was actually looking at.
Okay. I'm excited already.
We're going really off topic here,
Okay.
but look, my brother was like, "Hey, you know what I'm getting into? You know what I just purchased?" I'm like, "What's that, brother?" And he's like, "I just purchased the Edge of the Empire Star Wars role-playing game." And I'm like, "Oh, really? How much does that cost?" And he's like, "Well, it's $60 and it's a 500-page compendium." And I'm like, "What do you do in this game? Are there Jedis?" And he's like, "There's no Jedis. There's some force tricks." I'm like, "Well, maybe I'll start a new campaign of Star Wars." And so maybe that's what the campaign will be set in.
I'm in. I mean, I love D&D, but I'm just like, there are so many other things out there that could be like really, really fucking great.
And I thought, I was thinking maybe I'll do maybe I can go and like do something with like ninjas or like samurai. I think there's a bunch of like different shit like that.
I need to find the. Oh, let me.
Is it Legend of the Five Rings?
No, dude. There was one we used to play.
Shadowrun?
No, Shadowrun. Shadowrun. I would love to play at any time. Oh, well, let me see. It was so the whole idea was. It was not necessarily a specific engine for any one comic book / cartoon game, but it was built around being able to create any sort of. So imagine it was sort of like a perpetual Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah.
And like it just got really insane. It was a shitload of fun, but I don't know that I can remember the.
You'll have to find the name, and the main thing is that since I'm DMing, it's probably going to be a terrible fucking time, like. Because I'm gonna have to like figure out exactly how that all works and like the intricacies of that, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, you just let me know. I'm in. You
Okay.
let me know. I think
Cool.
it sounds like a good idea, especially
Sounds
if it's
good.
something even more crazy like that. So.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
All
All right,
right.
let's close the show.
All right, let's close the show. It's been too long. Guys, we will be back for another episode of 8 Bits. It's going to happen next week on Friday at our normal time, which is 1 p.m. EDT, trying to make it friendly for all you U.S. and Euros. And
We will have a
SCA
guest.
folks. We will? All right.
Well, we're gonna figure one out.
We're
but
going
gonna have
to
a
figure it out, damn it. So join us for our 5th episode of 8 Bits. That'll be next week, Friday. We will see you guys next time. Thanks for joining us. We are out of here. Peace, bitches. Peace. Wait, I don't have any music. Wait, let me try this one more time. It's like this is like a rewind. Okay, wait. You ready? Ready, JP?
Let's do it.
Oh my God, what a great show. The production was amazing. There wasn't any mess ups at all. And we're out of here, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next time for another episode of 8 Bits. Peace.